If you've watched my channel, you know I'm a big fan of motion capture. I like to take multiple mocap takes and stitch them together to create my performance, especially if I don't have enough space to capture a certain movement, or I just physically can't capture something like a flip.
Do a flip!
I can't do a flip. Also, big shout out to my coworker Bree, who showed me this workflow. So first things first, we're gonna just create a folder, and I'm just gonna call this anim. This is where I'll be putting any of my motion capture takes, as well as any anim clips and retargeted motion capture. So let's actually just create a few new folders just for organization. We'll say retargeted, and we'll also say anim clips. So I'm just going to click and drag my mocap takes into just this anim folder. And we're going to go to skeleton. Now these are UE5 skeletons. So I am going to be looking for the SK mannequin. So I have 3 animation sequences now with the mannequin. I'm gonna just shift select them, and I need to retarget them to a Metahuman because that's what I'm using. If you're using a mannequin skeleton, you don't need to do this. So I'll just shift select and right click, and we're gonna go to retarget animations. That's gonna bring this window up, and we already have our source skeletal mesh, but we need to put the target, which is our Metahuman. So we can actually look for the specific body mesh that I have. It's, for me, SKM MHC stylized tut body mesh. Now I do have to actually search these and select them in here. So for me, it was CB lose, then I'm gonna go down to P/P turnaround. And I'm just going to export the animations. You can also export the retarget assets, but we don't need to do that for now. So export the animations, we're gonna navigate to our folder. So tutorials, mocap stitch, and we're gonna say retargeted. And I'm going to put a prefix there and just put RTG underscore. This will keep all of these names that are here, but RTG underscore, just better organization. And we don't have any existing files, so that's fine, and we'll hit export. So let's create a level sequence. And what we need to do is we need to import our character for as many of the takes that we have. So I'm gonna bring in one, and I'll just duplicate the other 2. And now we could just click and drag these into our sequencer. This is gonna bring a bunch of control rigs on them, and we actually don't need the face right now because I'm just looking at the body. So if we go to body, I'm gonna hit click and animation, and I'm just gonna look at RTG. Now I have a couple RTG here. The first one that I was gonna do was this one, the loose sim moment. So this is my animation. The second one I'm going to bring in was the P turnaround. These are all takes actually from an upcoming short film that I'm working on that is a Prince of Persia fan film. So if you see Persian in there, that's why. And 3 is going to be the / twirl stab. Now, there's no particular order that you really need to bring in all these animation clips, but I do like to try to keep it in numerical order of what action is first and what action is last. That just helps me in visualizing everything and having organization. So I do highly recommend that if you are going to be doing it. So the first thing that we really need to do is just start positioning our characters. So if I look at my first character, so the main thing that we need to do is find our cut points in the action when we want to stitch. So let's separate this guy. He starts out kind of bent down and turns around. So I can go here. Now if I do control and /, it will actually split this animation clip that I have selected, which is really nice. The other thing that I can do is I can right click, and in edit, there is a trim section left, trim section right. So I don't need the left, so I can hit that and it'll actually remove it for me, which is very nice. And if I look at my first clip here, I'm just gonna go here and then slam down, and let's trim it to the right. Now, if your animation resets afterwards, so you can right click your clip. If you go to properties, when finished, you could do keep state. Unfortunately, this is not default. I think you could change it in the project, but you will have to do this for all the clips. And unfortunately, there's nothing for before it. So we know that around here is where we want to stitch to the new clip. So I'm just moving the clips roughly for timing first, and then we'll reposition. So he slams down, looks, does this motion. And then I think around here we're going to split. I'm not quite sure, so I'm just going to right click and I'm going to split the section just in case I want to keep it. But even if I split it and then I drag it back out, it's non-destructive, so that's nice. Now looking at my last chunk, he gets ready and he goes for a slash and then a stab. And let's just trim it there. We don't want it too long. So I'll trim section to the right. And now I can just try to time this out. Just try to line it up as best as possible. He's raising that right hand to kind of go and attack. So I do want to find that moment in there as well. So right here, that's feeling pretty good. Let's trim section to the left. So it goes up. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that feels pretty good. And now we can just get into positioning. So if I go to the end here, if this is where my character needs to be in the world, I'm just gonna move this character now, and I'm just gonna try and line them up as much as possible. Depending on the motion, you can line up a foot, you can line up the hips. Typically, I will look for something. In this case, I'll probably do the foot, but sometimes the feet are completely wrong, and I would rather actually do the hips because that's going to be a little bit cleaner, easier to clean up. So that looks pretty good. We'll move to the end here, and now this guy needs to move here. So let's rotate him 180 degrees. Try to get the angles. Again, we'll just try to line up that foot. There we go. Cool, that's pretty lined up. So we have this guy comes down, he looks, goes around, kicks, and then goes for this attack. Very cool. So I'm going to trim, just set this as my end time. I don't want it all to bake out because the next step that we're going to be doing is baking out these anim clips, but to world space. So what we get to do is we get to line them up in the position, bake them out to anim clips in world space. Then we can reload them onto a single character and then bake it down to a control rig. So starting with our first character, we don't want to touch the blueprint. We want to do it to the actual skeletal mesh because that's the animation data. That's where the anim clips go. So select the body. We're going to right click and bake animation sequence. It'll ask you where you want to put it, and we can travel to our tutorial folder, and this is where I'm going to put it into anim clips, and it asks for an anim name. So I'm just going to call this tutorial A, and we'll say version 1 just in case we had to do other versions. And that brings up this window. So let's go to export, and for the most part we are going to keep this default, but the one thing we want on is record in world space. This is an important one. Other than that, we can export to animation sequence, and that's all exported now. So now we can do it for the others. Fortunately, it doesn't remember the folder that we do it to, and we'll call this tutorial B version 1, record in world space on, and do it for the last one. That'll be tutorial C, again, world space on. So with all of that we are going to go to our number 1 character. Now you can also bring in a fresh character, and maybe I'll bring in a fresh one just to demonstrate so you can see all of it. And now it's time to load in those anim clips that are in world space. So I put them at 0 because we're at world space. His blueprint transform should be at origin. So if I go to body, click plus and animation, we could just actually search for tutorial _A. So our first clip is added. We are going to add another clip, and we'll go to animation. Again, we'll search tutorial B and click that, and it actually gives us another track, and then tutorial C. So the one thing with this process is that when we bake the anim clip to world space, it's not just looking at the clip itself, that length, it's looking at your whole entire sequencer timeline. So we do have to trim it again. It is nice to have these up just as a reference, because we can go to them and basically trim everything. So I just go to here, right click, edit, we'll trim right. For B, we will trim left. And then if we go to our other moment here, we can trim right and we can trim left. So now if we just hide these 3, if I play, he goes through our first clip, goes to the second clip, there we go. I am just going to throw these into a folder here just because I want to clean up my sequencer a little bit. Now with all the anim clips here, you don't actually need to have them on the same track. That's okay. But say we wanted now to clean up our animation. Well, we can click our body, right click, and we're going to bake to control rig. Now this is a Metahuman, so I'm going to search Metahuman and we'll use the Metahuman control rig. Brings these options up. This should be completely fine. We're just going to hit create. And now we have our animation all on a control rig. And now we can go here and we can start to clean things up. And that's the mocap stitching workflow. Honestly, it's really simple. I really like it. If you needed to retime anything, forgot to show this, if you needed to retime anything, like say this was too fast, you can right click on a clip and go to properties, and there is a playback option under animation, and it's the play rate. So you could do like a play rate curve and you can kind of warp things in and out. You could do it overall. So say you needed it to be slower, you could go to 0.8. Now this is about 20% slower. You saw the clip actually go up. But if I go to properties again and say I wanted it to be 20% faster, you could do 1.2. So now this is a lot faster. So that's a way that if you're recording mocap in like a slower kind of motion and you needed to speed it up for just a visceral dynamic feel, that's how you'd be doing it. Thanks so much. If you're not a Deli sub, I don't know what you're doing. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be in the know when new tutorials are coming out. Probably like my mocap cleanup tutorial, as well as a couple other that are coming through. We got some more reactions and we got some interesting software on the way. But thanks so much. Keep on animating, and I'll see you in the next one.